submitted to punches. That's where I got my name, The Beast. I enjoyed fighting, but it led to a bit of street fighting.
Right.
And a lot of crime. My life of crime started out with providing for me and my family. The alarm's gone off. Got chased down the road. Only got chased down the road by one of the fastest men in Britain. Done a lot of smoking, a lot of stealing, and then got into the drug dealing. Yeah, my fighting didn't actually start until 2003. I came out of prison and Lee took me training. My partner was seeing profit. I never saw no profit because I was
enjoying it.
My most famous customer would have been Robert Downey Jr. nicking 53 million from, starting off coming to see me and getting little bits and bobs, and they shipped me out. And I went to Wayland, met Reggie Cray, got put on the lifers wing with Reggie.
He didn't drop the soap, so you couldn't pick that
No,
up?
we fucking never. It wasn't that long, my MMA career, 5-6 years. Now we got tooled up. I only had 6 weeks, mate. I didn't think I was coming home. I thought I was gonna have to kill the guy. I wouldn't have even got in the country because of my drug convictions.
Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast, and this episode is proudly brought to you by Betovo. Welcome back to the Criminal Connection podcast with myself, Terry Stone, and today we've got an old school friend of mine from South London. He's known as Mark the Beast Epstein. If you don't know him, you will get to know him. So please put your hands together for Mark the Beast Epstein's in the building. Hey!
Thank you.
Good to see you, brother.
Me, mate. Thank
Good
you.
to see you, mate. Good to see you.
See you too.
I feel honoured that this is only your third ever podcast. So I feel honoured that I actually wanted to get you on earlier on, but for some reason we sort of didn't get together.
Shit happens.
Yeah. But for any of our audience that obviously don't know about your story, I'd just love to go back to, where you grew up, what your family life was like.
Okay, yeah. So my first childhood memories is New Cross. My mum and dad didn't have such a great relationship, and unfortunately he wasn't really part of my life or my brother's life. So I've got two older sisters who are stepsisters to me, and because of the problems with my mum and dad, we went through the care system. So we was fostered out as kids, and then after a few foster homes, we went into residential homes, and then from homes to boarding school. It was like apprentice prison, I suppose. My boarding school. I went there when I was 9, 1977, and there were some really troubled children there. A lot of autistic children and bipolar and Tourette's and things, some mainly mental, and they've been through trauma, they've been abused, and
I suppose back then people didn't actually know what these things were. They were just naughty kids, right?
Yeah, they didn't. They couldn't classify autism or Tourette's and stuff like that. So we were just called maladjusted and just all stuck together in a school, 50 kids, and some of them were really disturbed, and some were less disturbed. But we were all, we all had problems, emotional, physical, mentally.
Well, there's been a few people that have come on the podcast that have either been put into care or they've either lost their parents or their parents have lost them, and they've gone through that sort of care system. And, in the 70s and 80s, obviously it was rife with abuse, not just physical but mental. And where was the actual place that you was at, Mark? Was it?
I was in a boarding school in Lymerton,
right,
in Hampshire. It was called Hill House School, and then from there I went to Southlands. But I did have some abuse, unfortunately. At the time, it made me feel special. It was lucky that it was a female,
right,
that I had relationships with, should I say. I'm in two minds whether to pursue it. I'm not someone who, I don't want to see anyone get locked up.
right.
That's the last thing I want, unless you deserve it, unless you're, a rapist or a fucking Well, yeah, them people should not only be locked up, but maybe bring back capital punishment for them kind of people. But I did suffer some abuse in my boarding school with a female teacher, and it made me feel special, but it damaged me because the kind of emotional and mental stuff that this woman put me through. At the time I was missing my mum. That's all I really wanted was, that kind of love from your parent. And this woman kind of became a surrogate to me, and things led on into other things. And we used to, she used to use me, should I say. That's really basically what I didn't know what I was doing at 10 or 11,
Right.
But I enjoyed the attention, and I enjoyed the feeling of that I felt that, I was special. I was special out of all the children in the school, young boys, that I thought it was love, really and truly. That's what I thought it was, but it wasn't. She just messed me up, the woman. So, I'm in two minds whether to take it to get it dealt with legally, or I need some kind of closure. I'm just not really sure what I should do to her.
Do you know what? It's I know people have obviously had it from men and from women, people that have been beaten and not, there's been no sort of sexual stuff. It's just been like they've been beaten senseless, and walked around naked and beaten with stuff. It's and you sort of think, there's no excuse for that behaviour. And is she still around, that woman? Is she?
I think so. Yeah,
Right.
I did kind of do a little Facebook checkup, and I found her on Facebook. Yeah.
Right.
She's still married and got children, but I don't think I was the only one. That's the thing, That's what makes me want to kind of pursue it. Maybe that there's other victims out there that have suffered. It's not physical suffering. It's a mental and emotional, scars. But I know there's other boys, other guys, men that have definitely suffered at the hands of this woman. I'm not saying it was bad. It was sex, but
right.
At a young age, you should be allowed to, blossom at your own speed, and not be forced by anyone or coerced or blackmailed into anything.
It's a bit odd that a fully run woman would want to do that with a 10 or 11-year-old. Do you know what I mean? So
I don't think I know for a fact I wasn't the only one. Well, not for a fact, but she was married to one of the teachers.
Right.
He was it was weird because they lived on top of the school, and her husband was studying to be a social worker, so he'd have to stay over at university on a Thursday night.
Right.
She'd leave her door open. She lived on top of school, and I'd creep up to her flat and just get into bed with her, and then she'd use me.
Right.
But at the time, it was very special to me, and I felt like it must have been love. But I know she had a relationship. She had a good relationship with another member of staff, and they used to go to the pub on a Friday night, and his car was parked right outside our dormitory, and they'd get in the car together,
right,
and go to the pub together. At the end of the week, it was like a ritual thing. But I know them two was as well.
And did she sort of say anything to you, like, if you tell anybody something bad happened, or was it?
Nah,
So she just trusted that you wouldn't say anything.
Yeah,
right. But I suppose you probably was as a kid, you probably didn't know what was going on, and
I was just kind of enjoying the attention, enjoying that secret between us.
Right.
You know,
was your mum allowed to visit you when you was in the boarding school?
she was, but she didn't really come and see me.
Right.
You know, even during the holidays, I'd have to like summer holidays now. I'd remain at school because my mum couldn't handle me. I was too hyperactive.
Right.
I was, you know, always playing football or in the streets, you know, like how we used to. We was in the streets, us kids, our generation. We weren't indoors playing video games. We was out. We was out.
Climbing up trees and getting in trouble.
And breaking into derelict buildings and stuff, you know, and having adventures. That's what we did on the bikes, doing jumps and stuff. You know, we weren't. We were out all the time.
And when did you? Yeah, did you have any sort of fights when you was in the school? Or?
I had loads of fights. Loads of fights. I was always fighting.
Right.
Always. I've always been fighting because, you know, like I said, through the care system, the care homes, the foster homes.
Right.
Like my first foster home was in Folkestone. I think I was about 2. Just about remember it. Then I come home. I think that was when my brother was born. My mum, you know, she didn't have support. She didn't have anyone, no safety nets. Her sisters were quite far away. She got one brother. The mum didn't want to know because my mum, she liked black men, and you know, so that was a bit taboo back in the early 60s, late 50s.
But they used to have them fucking signs, didn't they? No blacks, no Irish,
no dogs,
no dog. I mean, it was just mad. And like, if you look now. And you kind of can't believe that actually was just normal, just to hang up a fucking sign like that. I mean, it was a mad time.
It was.
But obviously, when you're living through it, it's normal because you see it and you just go, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, I can't remember seeing that sign myself, but
I didn't see it, but I remember seeing pictures of it, and I just and people that actually lived through it saying, you know, it was like hotels.
I think that was more the Windrush kind of generation, you know, that like my dad's generation, I suppose, just before him, because I think my dad come over in the early 60s,
right? And
he started working for like the London Transport, and he helped clean up the country, I suppose, after the war. It's just you know, people didn't want to do it. That I can understand, but the way they came in. You know, they did suffer a lot of racism. The black guys and the women that came here from the Commonwealth after the war.
Yeah.
No. I mean, my father, he was, I suppose, a real Jamaican man. He was like he had kids in Jamaica. He came over here. He left 3 kids in Jamaica. Came over here and had another 7.
Wow.
Yeah. That, you know, these. But they that's the thing with a lot of, not all Jamaican men, but a lot of Jamaican men, they're good at making
but not
babies.
Looking after.
But rubbish. I mean, he was a father to my stepbrother.
He liked creating them, but not looking after.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. See, I haven't got that problem. Anything I created is part of me. You know, I would never reject.
Do you know what's funny? I think, you know, when I grew up as a kid as well, I don't know if it was just a thing of that era, the 60s and 70s, but my dad wasn't really interested either. And I think a lot of the dads just wanted to have fun, have a kid, but they didn't want to do any of the other stuff. And obviously for us, I think you can either look at that and go, I'm going to be like my dad, or actually, I'm not going to be like my dad. And then, like you said, you've grown up and you've got your family and you've been like that. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, no, I mean, that pain, having that pain, that rejection in your heart is, you know, and I know, and the anger as well that it gives you, like, you know, because you don't know why you've been pushed away, or you know, you think it's you think that there's, you know, it must be saying about me that, you know, why he don't love me, but that kind of pain, it stays with you forever, and them emotional scars are worse than the physical scars, you
100%.
know. And I think that's one of the reasons why I got into MMA. Well, because I was always fighting anyway. Like I said, I would go to a school. I'll go to a foster home, I've got to start a new school. I'll go to a home, I've got to start a new school. I'll go to, you know, my foster home the boarding school was a school.
Right.
But the foster homes and the homes, I would be starting new schools. And then when I went home to be with my family, I'd have to start a new school. Right. And every time I started a new school, I'd definitely be tearing up.
Right.
You know, I mean, there was one time on the Isle of Sheppey, I was in a foster home there, 1976, and I was, I was 7, 8, and I had a big afro. You know, I love football, and the kids was like, oh, they give me a nickname. My nickname was Jamaica because I knew my dad was from Jamaica, and I had a big afro, and so I was different to the kids on Isle of Sheppey. I think me and my sister were the only 2 black kids on the island in 1976. So that was my nickname was Jamaica, and for games like football and that, they want, I want Jamaica. So yeah, I was popular there at Isle of Sheppey, but I was only there for maybe 4 or 5 months, and then we got moved, me and my sister Angie, and I went to a home in Brownhill Road, Catford, and then from there to Liskeard Lodge to Hill House. But I've always been fighting, always. From every school that I've been to, I was tearing up.
So when you did you leave school at 16? Did you go?
I left school at 15.
I'm 15.
Yeah.
15. And then what was the path from them up? Was it you enjoyed fighting? You thought,
yeah, no, I enjoyed fighting, but it led to a bit of street fighting,
right?
And a lot of crime. It was just, I mean,
the problem with South London then as well is, especially if you live in what they call the hood now. I mean, it's always been bad, right? So there's all them opportunities.
It's always been bad. It's just getting worse, though, Till. It's getting worse. It's never, it needs to, people like Sadiq Khan, they ain't going to do nothing for Londoners, mate. They ain't changing the hoods. They're not trying to, understand what these kids are going through or give them any outlets for their, their energy.
But the one thing I mean, obviously, when we were younger, right, there was the Scouts and there was the Cubs. Now, no one's going to want to join that now. But there was also youth clubs. There was also things for people to do. But now it just seems that that's all gone. And if you're on an estate and your mum and dad are at work, or you've only got one parent, you are kind of left to your own devices. And I think with social media as well, you've got people looking at social media going, I want that, but I haven't got that. And then, we never used to know the value of things. You could have walked down over a Rolex and I wouldn't even know what it was. I just go, oh, that's a nice watch. But now I know that's worth 10 grand or 20 grand. So if I'm that minded, I'll have that. Do you know what I mean? So I think social media, it's a combination of social media, the lack of opportunities.
And bad parenting. I think, I'm not saying bad parenting, but I'm saying that people should accept their responsibilities. If they got responsibilities to a child, be there for the child. Yeah, 100%. Be the father, be the mother. Don't. It's not about you, because once you've had that child, the responsibility is to bring that child up and to keep him or her safe. And to bring them up with some kind of direction and give them some kind of worldly knowledge. Try and educate your child. You don't want to leave the child out to their own devices. I know it's hard for a lot of single parents out there. They have to go to work and, but then there's a catch-22. I know there is, but, you got to try and encourage your children and your siblings into activities that are going to, that they love, that they can maybe one day turn into an income of some kind. I
think two of the other biggest problems as well is, like, as a parent, if you do want to discipline your kids, you're not allowed to. And also in the schools now, teachers, I mean, if I around at school, you get a blackboard rubber in the fucking back of your head, or you get a smack around the ear roll. But now it's like, oh, you can't do that. So the kids kind of know that you can't discipline me, you can't discipline me. There's obviously not a massive police presence on these estates. And I think it's all those things that are causing the issues, but nobody seems to address them. And like you said, people, the knife crime's gone through the roof in London. And, it's affecting, I think I mentioned to you earlier, my friend's son got stabbed to death outside, Nazareth in Knightsbridge the other night, and apparently the knife crime there is up 30%. And you think Knightsbridge is meant to be a nice place.
Yeah, it's where the other lot live. The you know, you got to be a bit special to be around them areas. So there should be a little bit. Not saying there should be, but you know, it's very affluent areas, so you'd expect that there's more security and more police, I suppose, presence. Yeah, I just think, you know, these children, a lot of people out there that like my father, who's happy making children but not so happy raising the children, you know, and we need to, everyone needs to kind of take an interest in other people's children, you know, and say something. You know, you shouldn't be afraid to or scared to say something when you see something wrong, rather than getting out your phone and recording it. I think people need to stop all the fucking filming shit and just say something, you know, and stand up for the victim and try and protect them. But yeah, the kids out there, they want it all too quick now. They want it too fast. They're not really prepared to work. They don't, you know, they want the easy money. I did as a kid. I suppose I wanted easy money. I didn't want to, not that I didn't want to work. It's just I didn't really have the direction. Right. I didn't have the role models. So the role models to me were the guys on the estate, the drug dealers on the estates, and you know, driving the convertibles and wearing the gold and the nice women, and that does kind of become your role model on an estate when you haven't got positive role models in your life. You see the negative ones. The negative ones is what you want to be, and that life is negative. You know, I've seen so many people sitting down in prison for drug dealing, for murders. You know, and it's just. It's like that's not the end game. The end game is to get out the hood, to travel the world, you know, to see other cultures and enjoy them and have fun, make memories with your family, you know, not just think, oh, this is the be all and end all of some estate, you know, and postcodes and shit like that. It's rubbish.
I mean, when you, like you said, left school at 15, what was the first thing that you kind of got dragged into that was...
Well, I mean, I was stealing from as soon as I got home. As soon as I came home from boarding school, I was stealing because my mum's a single parent. She's got 5 kids. There's kids in my school that are wearing Sergio Tacchini and the Fila and you know, the Gabichis and stuff. I couldn't afford that. My mum couldn't afford that. You know, we struggled to even have electric on. There was times I can remember we didn't have no electric. My mum was raiding out the 50p meter and breaking into the, you know, because we didn't have electric.
That took me back, the meter. I remember the
50p meters, yeah, for the electric and your gas, and we'd break into that on a regular basis. We'd have lights up with battery operated lights and stuff in the house. It was, mate, 70s was terrible.
And what did you do when you went, when you was doing your, you know, the stealing stuff? Was all your siblings doing it, or was your mum doing it? It was just you. You just went out and thought, can have them trainers.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Well, yeah. I mean, like I'd go up Adidas Connection on Tottenham Court Road, but the problem was one day I discovered I went in there stealing some stuff out of Adidas Connection. I've gone out, the alarm's gone off, got chased down the road. I only got chased down the road by one of the fastest men in Britain. John Regis was he was like, I mean, he's a you know, 200 metre well-known British athlete, but he was working in there. Oh, mate, it was, no, I mean, I always wanted, everyone wants nice things, but, you know, I never wanted to really, I didn't really think about robbing people. It was more, although I did, I'm not going to lie, you know, I did some things that I'm not happy about. You know, they were bad choices that I made, you know, but no, I was more of a shop thief. I was more of a shop thief, and you know, I'd bring stuff home to my mum and my siblings, and you know, on their birthdays, I'd never forget their birthdays and stuff, you know, and my mum, and you know, even sometimes it was food. I'd steal food to bring home because you know we didn't have any food in the house. I remember I went to an IT centre, And they had a big chest freezer in there. And, you know, when no one was looking, I was in a couple of fisherman's pies to take home to my mum. They were hard times.
Right.
But I can't blame her, you know. Then I had to, I suppose, not be the man of the house, but
you were providing, right? So
I was providing, yeah. I was nicking stuff for everyone. It wasn't just like I wanted the best of this and the best of that for myself. No, it was like I was trying to support my family. And then I just you know, elevated, evolved from stealing food and like stuff from the corner shop. I started getting clothes, and from clothes it started turning into solar power Sony Walkmans and AM, like Sharp with AM FM radio with TV on, Walkmans with AM FM radio with a TV on it. Sharp. I had this one I nicked it out of Brent Cross, out of Dixon's.
Right.
And AM FM radio, auto reverse cassette and TV on it, black and white TV. And the solar powered, the Sony solar powers, the AWARs, you know, and then the video cameras come in. Even CD players, when CD players first came in, they were a big deal. And, you know, the video camera, they're massive, and the big phones and all that kind of electrical stuff.
How'd you fucking nick them? Because they were so big, weren't they?
Like we use like jackets over our shoulders. We put the jackets over and a bit underneath our arm. We'd have head bags. I mean, there was firm of us. We used to go out firm-handed. From Woolwich Common Estate, there was a gang up there called the Woolwich Common Estate Raiders, and there was some other guys from Cardwell Estate called the Moneymaker Posse, and we kind of linked up, and we'd be all over Southeast England filling up them head bags, jumping on trains.
So if you saw Mark with a bulging head bag, it didn't have his fucking gym kit in it.
No, and most probably had fucking about 10 pairs of Levi jeans in there, or like we were prolific. It became a job.
Right.
It became a job, shoplifting. But, you know, we'd go out, we'd get some electrical, then we'd get some clothes for ourselves for the weekend, and we'd maybe get some alcohol. We'd go to a Freshers, bottoms up, get some DP, get some Verve Clicquot, some Mum. Yeah, shoplifting, and then, you know, maybe a few burglaries. Car cassettes was a big one. We used to do a lot of car cassettes, me and Ian from Moneymaker Posse.
Was there a lot of money in that then?
Yeah, car cassettes.
Because they used to be like a couple of £100, didn't they? And I remember when the faces used to come off, but people would always put them under the seat thinking they were being clever. But that's the first place you look, wasn't it?
The Pioneers sent trades, and you know, some of them Pioneers were heavy, man. And the speaker systems. Yeah, I was terrible. I was ruthless, man. I was out there with the car cassettes, and then things, you know, evolved because I was taking a lot of my stolen goods onto a certain estate, Barnfield Estate. There was a lot of guys up there and women that would buy the goods, fences, and there was a lot of drugs up there as well. There was a lot of hash. Right. So then I was approached by a couple of older guys that asked me if I wanted to sell a bit of weed for them, and I started selling a bit of weed on Barnfield. So I was maybe doing some shoplifting during the day, then selling some weed at night, and then it just evolved. Things evolved, and then you get into the different types of drugs. But back when I was doing it at 16, 17, 18, it was all hashish. Everything was hashish, gold seal, red seal, Packy Black, gold seal, I said gold seal, Temple Ball, Cashmere, 00. You know, there were so many different types coming from all over Asia, and you know, and the weed. So yeah, we smoked a lot, done a lot of smoking, and a lot of stealing, and then just got into the drug dealing. Got into drug dealing about 80, 85, 86, and and then one thing led to another, and then we had acid ass, 87. Fucking hell. Wow, that was a game changer, definitely, because I mean that I never had MD before,
right,
or as it was called back then, California Sunrise. That was my first pill.
Right.
I was on, I think I had a weekend leave from Dover.
Right.
I was in Dover doing 2 years, and I had a weekend
What was
leave.
that, a prison sentence?
Yeah.
And what was that for?
That was a balls. It was youth custody.
Right.
Lot of shoplifting and violence that come with it. Like, especially if there were store detectives involved. Stories come on me, they get parked up, or we'd just have a madness.
Right.
You know, there was a good few times when there was a few madnesses. Ended up on Ashford Remand Centre for a couple of them, but yeah, that's where my it was just really, it started out with my life of crime started out with providing for me and my family, and then I wanted clothes. I wanted to dress like my mates. I wanted to look good. You know, I wanted to attract female attention as well. So yeah, I wanted clothes as well. I wanted nice clothes. It wasn't so much money and jewelry. It was just I wanted to look good, you know, and feel good, I suppose.
Yeah. And when you went to your first rave and you done the California, what was that like? Was it like opening Pandora's box?
Amazing. Amazing. I'm not going to try and, you know, glamorize any of it, but I think it's a phase that we all go through, you know, of experimenting with drugs. And yeah, the first time I had this California Sunrise, it was in Heaven nightclub. It was on a Monday night. It was called Land of Oz. That was it,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mate, it was like, I'd never seen, you know, the lights, the lasers and stuff, and I had this half of this pill, and fucking hell, it blew my head off, mate. It was amazing. And you just loved everyone. It was, you know, it was such a calm, but the music was enhanced, your touch was enhanced, you know, your smell, everything just became enhanced, and it was just nice. It wasn't, there was no like anger or hate, or it was just love. It was just love and peace, and it was probably some of the best years of my life around that time. I was really good pals with a guy at the time called Mickey Finn.
Yeah, I know Mickey, yeah.
Good DJ, brilliant DJ, one of the best, and Darren J, them two was always. But I come out August '88 out of Dover, and we went to a world dance, and it was another one of them. It just blew my head off. It was Matt in a field somewhere in Kent, and it was amazing. I loved it, and yeah, I was in there for a good few years. Biology, atmosphere, Genesis, world dance, energy, sunrise, biology. I mean, the list could go on and on. I was at all of them.
When did you actually stop the raving? Because
I haven't. I've never stopped. No, I'm having a bit of a hiatus. I'm having a bit of a break at the moment, but no, I've never stopped raving. I love music too much. I love dancing. I think it's a great way to express, you know. Dancing is something I've always loved from my boarding school, I think. Even before that, you know, my parents kind of, you know, my mum loved a lot of soul, Motown and stuff like that. And yeah, I've always loved to dance. And then I remember I heard Rapper's Delight, 1979. And mate, that changed everything for me, Rapper's Delight, when, you know, hearing these guys rapping and then I see some people body popping and first, I mean, it was robot at first. Right, people was doing the robot, and it was like, it looks quite good, you know. And yeah, I started learning a bit of body popping and break dancing, and that was something that I loved as a young man. Was, you know, we'd go out to Covent Garden on a regular basis, me and my crew, Spectre Force, and we'd go Covent Garden and we'd busk up there for McDonald's money, you know, just to. But I love to dance. So when the acid house came in, it was nothing new. You know, there was so much dance, and then the New Jack era came in, New Jack swing, and yeah, you know, so the body popping just evolved into the acid and the New Jack swing, and I've always loved dancing. So, you know, that is a great part of my life. Inspector Force, Shockwave, some of the crews that came out of South East London.
Yeah.
Some great crews, some great dancers. They were good times. Tim Westwood up at Jubilee Gardens back, I think it was 80, 84, 85.
He used to do spats, didn't he, as well? Did you forget spats?
No.
That was a club, and everyone used to go on a Saturday, and it all the break dance and stuff.
But no, I never. I heard about it. I do remember the name. Yeah, the name rings a bell. We'd be up Covent Garden on a Saturday. There'd be everyone up there. London's like, what were they called? They won the Swatch. I think London All Stars.
Right.
Yeah, that was it. Because a friend of mine was in that crew, Martin Robinson, who went on to do a lot of. He went on to work at what was it? Starlight Express. He was, I think he played Rusty in Starlight Express, Martin Robinson. But a very good dancer, really good. Great body popper. He was different, that guy. He could just stand there, back somersault and stuff like that. Wow, he was amazing.
When the rave scene took off, like you said at the time, you was selling a bit of you had your first bill. Did that then lead you into sort of...
Yeah.
Did that Pandora's box?
Yeah. I mean... Once I had my first pill, and then I wanted to know like where I could get them, and I started selling them. Yeah, and I was in the West End every night of the week. I was nearly every different club every night of the week. I think one of my most famous customer would have been Robert Downey Jr.
Right. Iron Man. He came up to you, go, show me the pills.
No, I was in. I'll tell you, this is connects with you. This does, because I know I see on some of your socials you was bigging up Warrior.
Yeah.
Right,
Warrior, he used to work for me.
Yeah. So Warrior was working at Linford Studios one night. I've gone over there, and I used to look after everyone with a couple of pills. You know what I mean? And so, like Warrior was there, bare woman on him. I swear down, this guy, he's
the Nick Burns,
he was a stud, right? So anyway, we got there and he took me up to the VIP and sitting down and with the crew, and I sat down at the table. I don't know, I might have had a cheeky sniff, and looked up, and there's Robert Downey Jr. I recognised him straight away from not Breaking Science. That's a fucking
I know.
Weird Science.
Weird Science. Yeah.
He was in Weird Science with Kelly Brock. Anyway, I've seen him, we started talking and give him a few bits and that. He was over here at the time making Chaplin.
Right.
So, and it was the night before Notting Hill Carnival, so it must have been Saturday before the Sunday Carnival. And I promised I'd take him Notting Hill Carnival. I blew him out.
Right.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah. And we would have been as bad. He was smoking everything at that time. He was smoking fucking he was on the brand. So in a way, it was good for us both because we would have just been getting off our tits.
Right.
But he was over here. Apparently, he was found in a house. He went missing off of the set of Chaplin. Someone found him in a crack house.
You know.
He was in it.
The thing is, though, a lot of the, I think, especially around that time, a lot of the Hollywood people. I mean, that John Belushi died, didn't he? He had was it a speedball or whatever? So a lot of the Hollywood set were partying and
partying hard,
going nuts, and unfortunately, some people got through it unscathed, but others sort of checked out.
He got through it. And I remember a statement that he made. It was like when he was in court to the judge, and he said to the judge, he's like, I want to stop, but it's like I've got a loaded gun in my mouth and I like the taste.
Right. Oh, so he actually got arrested for drugs?
He went to prison for it, didn't he?
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. He went to jail for Brown. He was...
Right, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Right.
He got some bird a couple years later.
Was this in America or here?
Yeah, in America.
Right, wow.
Yeah, done a proper bit of bird. I mean, he was a lovely fella. He was really, cool guy. But I don't know. On the day of coming to get, I just thought, nah, fuck it. It's one of them opportunities that I missed, I think. But maybe in hindsight, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, that was a funny old night. I looked after him that night. Yeah. He still owes me like 50 quid for a couple grams. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, Robert, if you're watching this, drop Mark a note on his
bullseye. I need that bullseye, Rob.
What other funny stories you got for? I mean, there's so many fucking funny things going on, weren't there, at that time? But
back then it was amazing. I mean, I can remember one night me and Mickey broke into. I think it was Atmosphere Genesis, and this was another guy. I don't know if you've had him on. What's his name again? Oh, he used to run the promotion. Andy, so is it Andy?
Andy Swallow.
Yeah. No, not Andy Swallow. Sorry, my bad.
Pritchard.
Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard's been on. Yeah, he's a good man.
Andy Pritchard. He used to run the night. I think it was
Genesis,
Atmosphere or Genesis. Yeah, one of them. But me and Mickey went to this club. Well, the warehouse, and it was a fucking riot. It was a mad riot. Old Bill coming, steamed into the generator, smashed the generator smashed it to pieces. Then there was solicitors there on the door and everything. And the Old Bill weren't having that. It was a mad one. That was. We fucking climbed in there. We had to over fences, up fucking in canal, getting down in canals and stuff. It was mental. That was one of the mentalest nights I've ever had to get to a party.
Right.
And then the Old Bill f***ed it up, and then someone drove I think it was a Renault 5 that had a big, massive speaker in the boot.
Right.
And just opened up the boot and I think we partied for that for a couple of hours, but that was mental. They were the best times though. They were really good. There were no mobiles. It was all radio, you know. It was all off of the radio. We're going to be, you had to tune into the, you know, whether it's Cool FM Centreforce but they were the best days, man. They were brilliant. I loved them times. But all them times there, yeah, I was in and out of jail. Not in and out of jail. You know, I did my first sentence. I got my first DC in 86. I was out a week. I was back in jail for 15 months in a London Crown Court, Hunter Coombe, and then
What was that for?
Hunter Coombe. It was all shoplifting, and maybe some assault or resisting arrest and some shit like that. I got stitched up a few times with the Old Bill, but yeah, Hunter Coombe 85 was pretty naughty. I had quite a few fights that sentence because there was a lot of guys from Tottenham.
Right.
A lot of Tottenham boys in jails because of the 85 riots in Tottenham where they killed Blakelock.
Remember that? He got his head chopped off, didn't he?
Yeah. That was naughty. I mean, I think it started in. I mean, there was always Brixton and Tottenham. Them two were always kicking off in the 80s, but it was similar because a woman was shot, or Cynthia Garrett. She had a heart attack in Brixton. Then there was a riot, and then they went to Tottenham and they shot the mum, looking for the son. And then that kicked off. They put her in a wheelchair, Liberty, and and then Tottenham kicked off. It was always Tottenham and Brixton. Them two was always going off. And 85, that was a naughty year for riots. And then 86 was exciting. Well, it was exciting but eventful for me because it was my first bit of bird, the youth custody, and I was kicking off a lot. I met a couple of guys from Hackney. They were a Love of Money crew. So I did a bit of bird with them, excuse me. Leopold Willis, Colin Brown, and Peter Hutchinson from Love of Money. They were in there for some armed robbery. And there was a couple of other guys out of West London. One main guy, serious burglar, Riotous Garnet. We did a bit of bird. And then a couple of years later, I was in Rochester with Riotous as well, and Fox, Scatter, a Mexican from Love of Money. And then I went to Dover for a 2-year sentence that I got for violence and shoplifting.
Right.
No drugs then. Yeah, and then I came out of Dover, and that's it, when the acid house started. And then my next bird was 90. I was in Pentonville. I got only a year. I was in Pentonville for 4 months, and then I went to Wayland. Lester Piggott was there at the time.
What was he like?
Do you know what? I never met him. He was on the DCAT. I see him, but I didn't get to meet him. But I met some guy who'd just been shot, and his mate had been shot dead on a burglary in Norfolk by a guy called Tony Martin.
I remember that.
Fred Barris, his name was, and he'd fucking been shot in the legs, but his mate had been shot dead. I think they'd been back to the house a few times, and the guy just, he got the ump, and he was ready for them. And next time they came back, they got blazed.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate. But yeah, I was in there with, what's his name as well? Frankie Fraser's son. Dave Fraser.
Dave's great. Dave's great.
Yeah, Dave was good stuff. I was in there with him. Had a couple of mad fights in there. Fucking hell, I had some mad tear-ups in there, mate. Naughty. That was one of the scariest bits of bird I ever done, I think, was High Point. Because I had a fight with this guy. And like my cellmate had escaped. My cellmate had escaped out of there with a couple other guys. And this African guy came in the cell and started helping himself to the guy's goods. And I was like, nah, anything in the cell stays in the cell. Me and him started kicking off. We kicked off. And I only had 6 weeks to go. So I've heard screw. I've stopped fighting because I didn't want to get a governor's. I didn't want to get I didn't want no more remission or do any more birds. So I stopped fighting. This geezer's punched me in the face. So I've swallowed that one. But where we've had the fight, he's lifted me on the table, and the table legs, the table's collapsed, and food's all over the cell. And so I've took the table leg and I've gone into his. As soon as the screws off, I've gone into he was in the next cell to me, so I've gone in with it's a dormitory. So I've gone in there with the table leg, and I've gone to hit him over the head, and he's grabbed a glass bottle, salad cream bottle. He's going to do me with the glass bottle. So we're having a little madness, and the bottles come out his hand. The legs come out my hand. We've started trading up. So we're trading up, and then I've heard it again, screw. So I've stopped fighting, and he's lamped me again. So now we got tooled up. Right. We got tooled up, proper tooled up. Tell is one of the scary, I swear down, I only had 6 weeks, mate. I didn't think I was coming home. I thought I was going to have to kill the guy. Swear down. There was the daddy of the wing was a guy called Musclehead from Saxon Sound. Right. Which is well-known sound system. And he was in there doing a bit of bird for burgling Diana Dawes' house. I think he was, or handling stolen goods. Diana.
I remember that.
So anyway, he was the governor. He's the daddy on the wing, and we was going to kill each other. He stopped us from fucking killing. I was only 22 at the time. Ty was a big guy. He was big. He was one of them 419. He was Nigerian mafia. Right. Lived in Chicago. He was over here doing 7 years, and I didn't know who he was, but he was like the chief. He was like the chief of the Africans, mate. Like one of the worst people to be fucking with. Right. Me and him, and apart from that.
Well, thank God that you didn't, because otherwise you'd have probably still be in there now. If you're still using one of them little jug filters, you need to hear this. I tested my tap water and nearly spat all my tea out. Chlorine, microplastics, heavy metals, even hormone residue. That's what's coming out of your tap in the UK. And your fancy jug ain't catching most of it. That's why I switched over to the Watery by Milky Plant. This bit of kit is like having a lab in your kitchen. Reverse osmosis, 4-stage filtration, removes up to 99.9% of all those nasties. What you're left with, clean, soft, safe water, proper gear. And here's the part that I absolutely love. It gives you instant hot water too. Perfect for a quick brew, morning coffee, or even cutting down on your cooking time. Just press a button and boom. you're done. Honestly, this is the cleanest water I've ever tasted. There's no smell, there's no weird aftertaste, just pure, crisp hydration, like drinking straight from a mountain spring. So if you're still sipping from a jug filter, ask yourself, do you really know what's in your glass? Make sure you click on the link below, go to milkyplant.com, have a look, and you will not want to drink anything else after this.
I'm just getting out now. I really thought, mate, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. I really didn't think I was coming home. I thought it's like one of us is going to die. Thank for Musclehead. Thank you, Musclehead.
Yeah, big up Musclehead.
Definitely.
And when you was in jail, and I mean, did you come out and think, I don't want to go back there, or did you just think it's part of life?
At that time, I didn't give.
Right.
Excuse my language, but I didn't care. I
Right.
didn't care, mate. I didn't have any. I had no goals, no plans. No, I didn't think I had a future. I really didn't, because
You thought this is it?
I just thought that this is my life. You know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get in crime and just get involved and just, you know, just be. This is my life. You know, I'm an outlaw.
Right.
That was not that I wanted to be. I just didn't see anything else. You know, I did see. The funny thing is when I was raving with the acid house, I had two really good opportunities that came my way. But one of them I turned down straight away because it was, no, I weren't going to put myself in that situation. I will come to it. But the other one was I was approached by a talent scout from XL Records.
Right.
And because I love dancing, this guy seen me dancing, and I had a good pal that I used to dance with. We, you know, doing some big moves and, you know, getting some air and that, like MC Hammer type shit.
Right.
We was doing. It was just the birth. I suppose it was the birth of New Jack Swing after the acid house, you know, the garage and, you know.
Do you know what? I don't know if this is true, but someone said to me that MC Hammer was actually a gangbanger. And that hammer time was literally his thing. Whenever it went off, he'd bring his hammer out. And I always looked at him as a joke because he used to have them funny trousers and it'd be like, hammer time. And I always used to just think it's just like Vanilla Ice. But someone told me that. I thought, man.
I think he did have some of them gangster connections, yeah. I don't know if it was Suge Knight or Death Row Records or something like that. But yeah, he had some... he had some proper people around.
Don't let the baggy trousers fool you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, me and my mate Isaiah, we was approached to by XL Records, but I didn't really think nothing. I didn't think at the time that, you know, he took us round the building and showed us everything. But at the time, I didn't think that I had the goods to do that, you know, to entertain. But, you know, I think there is some kind of, it's in the blood a little bit, because I recently found out that my great-grandfather, my grandfather was, he was a ringmaster of Billy Smart's circus.
Right, wow.
And my mum actually went to Gracie Fields School it was like a School of Fame, Gracie Fields, back in, she was a Second World War children, and she went, her and her sisters was in Gracie Fields School, which was like Italia Conti, I suppose, or, you know, some of them acting schools they got over here now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe it's in the blood, but I do enjoy the stunts part of what I do now. I'm not so much, you know, I never wanted to be a thespian or do the Meisner or any of them kind of, you know, I'm not really, I like the stunts, I like the fighting and just being in the background, being the bad guy, which is cool with me, you know, bring on them bad guy roles.
Right.
But, yeah, nah.
And when you come out from doing that bird, what was the next step for you on that journey then? Was you...
Well,
back
do
in
you
the
know what?
estate?
I was back on Barnfield. Yeah, Barnfield was like, I mean, it was centre of the universe for me back in the 80s, I suppose. Yeah, Julius Francis was sitting on that estate. Julius Francis started boxing in his late 20s, I think it was. But, you know, he went on to fight Mike Tyson and become an outright Lonsdale belt winner. So he defended his British title a few times.
You still talk to him?
Julius, yeah, he's my old dog, my OG.
I haven't seen him for years, but he's great, Julius.
He's my OG for life. You know, he used to bully me on the estate.
Right.
He used to bully me on Barford. I mean, it was like a proper front line. There was 20, 30 guys sitting on the wall with dogs, all trying to sell you a bit of puff, all trying to sell you an eighth, hash. They'd all rush you. You'd come walking on that estate, you'd get rushed. But, you know, it's like there would be some people on there that would try and cut 9/8 or 10/8. How you getting 10/8 out of an ounce? Like, they're going to be small.
Right.
But mine, I was honest. I cut the half ounce, cut the 2.5 ounces in the quarters, cut the 2 quarters, and I'd judge it. So I'd get rid of the small ones first, and by the time I got to the big ones, they were over. They were mostly over eighths.
Right.
So when people saw them, they'd be, and then when they used to come back on the estate, they'd get rushed and they'd be like, no, I want to see him.
Right.
They want to see me. Because I was honest, you know, even though I'm working in a dishonest and being an outlaw, I'd still, you know, you got to keep it 100, and I did, and people like that. But then there was people on the estate that started undercutting.
Right.
7/8. One guy was cutting out of an ounce. 7/8, but his brother was like picking up 200 key at a time, so he could afford to cut 7/8. I couldn't fucking cut 7/8. 8/8, that's it. That's what you're getting. You're getting what you know. But like I said, I cut it, judge it, get rid of the small ones first, and take the big ones. And when the big ones come out, they were bookers, mate. They were people was like, rah, yeah. And they'd remember me, and when they come back, they want to see me.
You know, we was talking about Julius earlier. Did you see that thing that happened at the box park?
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Yeah.
He's giving it all that,
Yeah.
and you think he's doing it to the wrong
No,
guy.
he deserved it. He deserved it. And he made that move at the end. It's like he was coming into, you know, he's coming into his space, and it was threatening. But that's why I don't do security anymore, because I can't take that bullshit of people in your face chatting shit, getting like, you know who I am. You can't do that. Nah, mate. You know, they're talking. Nah. Yeah, the clubs. So, yeah, the acid house, the clubs, the raves. And then, you know, I came out of High Point in 91, and, yeah, back onto Barnfield, started selling a bit of puff. And then I got a flat. On Woolwich Common Estate. And this is where things started getting, this is where things really got mad. I mean, when I was on Barnfield, yeah, there was lots of little kids hanging around. So I used to pay the kids. I used to pay them a £5 just to ride around on their bikes and call out 99 if they see any feds.
Right.
If they see any feds, you shout out 99. So, yeah, I used to have either a bit of rubbish on the floor, like a cigarette packet, and I'd put my hashish in the cigarette packet on the floor, in the curb of the floor, so it looked like a bit of rubbish. But I'd just walk over to it, pick it up, and pull out an eighth. Or I'd use a dog. I had this dog, English Bull Terrier called Juk. Lynn Slegg used to own it, and it had a wicked harness on it. So I took the stitching out of the harness and I put my eighths in the harness, so I could take him downstairs and just let him off, just call him, and just pat the dog, take out my eighth, and sell it to the customer.
Right.
But yeah, then I got my flat on Woolwich Common, and I started meeting these group of young guys, thieves like me, and like one of them I said was Brian's son, Lee.
When did you actually start with the MMA? Was that around that time?
No, MMA never started until I came out of jail in 2000. I came out of Wayland, and Lee was training. Lee was fighting.
Was the club? Was it London Shoot Fighters?
Yeah. London Shoot is where, like, he took me there. As soon as I come home, we started training.
What was that prison sentence for? Was that more fighting?
That prison sentence was for drugs. I got introduced to some undercover police by a friend of mine. He didn't know. No one knew they were undercover police. They got 14 from Greenwich, and they got another 22 from Lewisham, drug dealers. these two undercover old Bill, they were fucking amazing. These two, man, they deserve Oscars, them two. Con and H, bastards. But yeah, I was in Belmarsh with a lot of guys from New Cross, Brockley, Lewisham, the selling. That's what I got convicted for. My last sentence was possession with intent to supply and being knowingly concerned with. But at the time, I was using it myself.
So it's just like you were doing it to just keep yourself going and get your own gear.
It just, I had a partner, and my partner was seeing profit. I never saw no profit because I was
enjoying it.
I was enjoying it. I was, with my friends. I was fucking partying hard. I was, doing mad shit. Females. It was mental, like different one a day. It was that crazy. Sometimes, even on Barnfield, there was times when I was doing 3 a day, 3 women a day. It was mad. It was insane. Like I'd go out at night with one, take her home, go to Barnfield. I was seeing my mate's my partner's mum. Oh. I ended up. Paul, I'm sorry. I apologise if you're seeing this, Paul. And then I had a girlfriend. She come and pick me up about 9 o'clock, and we'd go out. It was crazy.
You should have been called Mark the Lover Man.
I've never had a problem with females. I'll be honest, but drugs help.
Right.
Drugs help, and obviously money and power help. But yeah, the drugs. It was especially. It was so easy.
Right.
When, it's just, you're weak. You are so weak around that drug, mate. It's unbelievable. Devil's drug.
I remember when it came out in New York, it decimated New York, didn't it? And that was probably around 79, wasn't it? When it became
I think it was a bit later than that, Till. I think it was about 8.
Was it in the 80s?
Yeah.
Was it when Sugar Hill Gang were around?
Back then they called it freebase, didn't they?
That's it.
It was called freebase.
But I was reading a book about this recently, and I can't remember the timing, but I remember it saying that whatever it was they did, it just overtook everywhere, and everyone was just on it. It was just like an epidemic of New York, and then obviously it come here.
Yeah. We seem to follow a few years late, but I'm sure we've, even now there's still a bit of an epidemic out there. With it's devil drug. I wouldn't. It's the worst thing I ever did to myself was start dealing with it. I was.
Was it because you were selling it? Was it because you were selling it and someone said try it, or did you just try it because someone offered it to you?
Someone did offer it to me at first, and I tried it, and thankfully it didn't. I didn't get anything from it because it was on the pipe. So I never tried that again. I only used to put it in roll-ups. I just crushed down a 20-pound rock and crush it into the thing and just smoke that. I normally would smoke half of it. There was a club we had, and it was a crack house, this club. It was fucking full of Millwall. It was full of gangsters from fucking Bermondsey and Eltham and all over South East London.
They weren't in Deptford, was it?
Nah, right. You're thinking of Scribbles. Yeah. That was another one. Right. We'll come to that one later. But no, that was bad. But
right.
It was good club, but it was mental. It was naughty, full of fucking nutcases. And but Sandbarrier was Charlton's version of Scribbles, and it was fucking mad, mate. It was insane. I had a mad fall out there. I'm going to shoot someone down there one night. Was out with Dave Courtney this night, and was over at Aquarium. I was with this guy, my boss. My boss at the time was a guy called Charlie Dixon, and Charlie lent me some money because the managers at the club had fucking drunk they'd smoked all the money to re-up the alcohol. So I borrowed a couple of grand off of Charlie so they could get the alcohol, and they pressured me as well. They tried pressure. Well, it weren't they. It was one of them really. It was this guy called Steve. He wanted more because I would pay them both 16th, maybe an 8th of crack for the weekend. So I was the only dealer in there. I mean, there was loads of cocaine dealers in there, but I was the only dealer in there. And we had downstairs rooms. So once the party upstairs, which finished around 4 or 5, we'd go downstairs into the rooms and they'd be all piping and I'd just be fucking selling out, phoning my boy, come and read me up, come, bring me more. And giving him his paper. Me, I'm just smoking. And there's females in the club that's smoking and, you know, I got my eyes on a few of them and I went through all of them, mate. I done them all. Mad. That's what it's like, you know, I'll just put it there and say, look, you know what I want. I know what you want. You know what I want. When I've got what I want, then you can have what you want. And that was it. It was, you know, it was that easy. It was crazy times. But obviously, I'm very much into safe sex. So now. Condoms. I've tried to be, you know, ever since 1986, and I was in jail when I see this video on AIDS.
Right.
It's like, you know, what's this AIDS? This what you have, and it kills you. I know it was a lot of gay stuff, but it come into the heterosexual world and there were people dying of AIDS. And so from 1986, I was kind of like, I will, if I think she's a bit rotten, sometimes they'd even put on 2. I swear down for some of them.
Protection.
Double, mate. I swear down for some of them. Like,
I'm not sure about you. Do you know what? Can you just stand there? Don't go any closer.
Mental, crazy times back then. It's like that drug was. You could get away if the female was smoking. It's done.
Right.
She's going over.
Right.
Not a problem. But yeah. So yeah, my fighting didn't actually start until 2003. I came out of prison, and Lee took me training.
Was he already fighting then?
He was already fighting. He'd had a couple of fights in the States.
Because he was good, wasn't he? I mean,
he was brilliant fighter, fast. I see potential in these kids from young. From like I started getting to know Lee 14, 15, and he's bringing me goods, and you know he was always fucking kicking off.
Right.
He was always kicking off. You know, if there was a beef and he wanted to settle a score. Mark, I need you to come with me. We'd be out at clubs. I remember one time, the first time he met Julius, I think Julius is going to grab him up. He's knocked someone out in Harry Haywood's club down at SE8, it was called, down in Deptford, Broadway. Champs, SE8. We're down there and he was like that, he was skinny thing, mate. But he used to love this leather. He had a 3/4 length leather jacket on. He thought he was like Neo from Matrix. He thought he was, and like you see this jacket flying around, he's going off, and Julius has come in and grabbed the guy, and I've had to jump in and, he's one of ours, he's Barney boy. And yeah, that was the first time them two, you know, they nearly come to blows. But we'd go out all the time and he'd perform. If it weren't him, it was one of the others.
Was you with him that night outside China White's when it all went off?
No, I wasn't there.
Because that was in the papers, wasn't it? When he got stabbed 7 times, didn't he?
He got stabbed to death. Apparently, like the nurses was running the blood up and sprinting the blood up and down to the operating room. You know, he was so lucky.
And I mean, this was what 20 years ago, wasn't it?
20 years ago. That was Lauren Pope's 21st birthday
That was
party.
it. Yeah. Was it Funky Buddha?
I think it was Funky Buddha with China White.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think it was Funky Buddha because I remember seeing it in the paper, and I think he'd gone in there and then it had come outside.
He went in there. He was in there the week before apparently, and he had a little tear up. I don't know why he's going back there the next week. I mean, he's
he likes to tear up.
he loved to tear up, the fella, But he was a good earner. I mean, for me, them boys really started earning about 90. I think it was about 94, 95. There was this earthquake in Japan.
Right.
And it stopped the production of these computer chips
that
would go in the servers. So these computer chips now became worth fucking fortunes, these Sims.
Right.
And they'd be out fucking doing office blocks and coming back with thousands and thousands of pounds worth of fucking computer chips. Me and my partner, we'd sell them. We'd do the middleman thing. So we had a couple of Arabs in Greenwich that had shops, and we'd take the Sims to them, and they'd, you know, give us what they wanted to pay, and then we'd take a little drink out, and then. But these guys were making thousands and thousands, and then they started investing their money into cocaine and drug dealing, and that's when it just got fucking messy. People were going mental, shooting people, stabbing people, half killing people, you know, getting life sentences, getting multiple life sentences, you know, and for like robberies, and then violence on the police, you know. And even before I went to prison, I was like thinking to myself, I'm just helping this cycle of violence, you know. It's like, I mean, I know they're going to get it from somewhere. They're getting it from me, but I'm still got a bit of guilt that I'm enabling these guys to fucking go on a rampage and fucking terrorize, you know, and almost kill. Or they, you know, some of them were not trying to kill, but they wouldn't ask you questions. They wouldn't talk to you first. They'd just stab you. And then once they've stabbed you a few times, then they'll ask for your money. And,
right,
you know, it just got crazy. Like fucking Silverback Crosskill, who ended up with about 6 life sentences, this guy. Fucking just on rampage, you know. And I've seen it loads of times. You know, I had a good friend of mine who was in Broadmoor for a number of years, and I used to visit him up there, and there was a guy in there called Wayne Hutchinson, and he went on a rampage in Brixton over a weekend, and I think he shot 2 dead and attempted murder on his, I think it was probation officer or something.
I think it's just crazy.
Over a weekend, he did, I think one or two were doormen of a club, didn't let him in, or they took the gun off him. They was going to go in the club, he's gone in there with a gun, they took the gun off him, he's gone and got another gun, gone back to the fit and shot him dead for not giving him the gun back, you know. Mental. But
was he a MMA fighter?
No, not Wayne Hutchinson. No, he was just he was a gangster from Brixton. But that's what I said. It fucked me in the end. It really did. You know, I had no. You know, there was nothing. Every day I wake up, I want to. You know, first thing I want to do is smoke, and that's it really. I'm just smoking, and then more smoke. You know, but it was. I smoked my profit. I didn't have to rob anyone or, you know, but I dealt with some real dangerous individuals, and I was pretty lucky one time when a friend of mine, my partner, got robbed. I left the house. I don't know if this was coincident or they waited for me to leave the house. Right. I just left the house, and then they went in. 3 of them went in. Carlon Campbell, if you're watching, remember this one, with Delphont. God rest his soul, even though he was a piece of shit. But yeah, they went and robbed my friend. He had to jump through a window. They gun butted him up, hit him with a gun a few times, and he jumped through a window. Jumped through his front room window. He had to, mental, jump through the front room window, and that noise and that disturbance, they all f***ed off. But they didn't get anything, but, you know, it was a naughty experience for my mate. And like I said, I just left. I don't know if that was, if they see me leave or, you know, but.
Did you know, did you find out pretty quickly who they were?
Yeah. Delphont was, he was kind of one of the youths, but he was more from New Cross. He was more with them guys, the ghetto boys, like Sparks, who was shot dead as well by not by Delphont, but he was part of the crew that had him set up and had him killed. Sparks was probably the godfather of them lot, and maybe Carlon. And I've never met Carlon. I met Sparks, but I never met Carlon. Not yet. I suppose we will meet one day. But the just fucked everything up, man. It just ruined everything. Really did. And I never made any money out of it, which was gutting really, because I worked my balls off. You know, I was proper grafter, and I made my partner a lot of money. But I just enjoyed that period of my life, which was, I didn't really even enjoy it, I suppose. It was just, at the time I was just stuck in a rut, you know. It was a bad rut. I tried to get help. I knew I had a problem, but I couldn't get no help. You know, rehabs and things like that, it cost money, you know. Just a bad mistake, you know. It's one of them ones that I regret forever.
Did you, and when you started doing the MMA stuff, did you come off it then, or was you still doing it?
Yeah, no, I come off it. I went to jail in 99. I got arrested with Liam Paul for a kidnapping, and then went to Belmarsh. Was on House Block 4 with Pat Brindle. I hope you well, Pat. Charlie Cray, another one, God rest his soul. Who else was there? I met Thingy in there as well, but this was earlier. Mickey McAvoy.
Yeah.
The Brinks Mac guy. I was away with his son as well in Elmley a couple of years later. And
is he still around now, Mickey, or not?
I think so, yeah. I think he's living abroad somewhere now and trying to have a quiet life as much as he can. Hopefully he is, you know. But yeah, Wayland, Elmley. I went to Elmley after Belmarsh. Got on the surgery there with Pat. Met Pat again, Pat Brindle, and Gary Wilson. God rest his soul. He just died the other day. Arm robber. He's on Sweeney if you want to watch it. The real Sweeney.
Right.
When his mate gets shot dead. Right. That bit of work. And Danny. And there was a couple others. I come out, got shipped out of there because I was still, you know, even though I was in prison, I was still selling drugs. Right. I was still, you know, trying to feed my family and take care of my canteen, my commissary while I was in prison. So I became a baron. In jail, and there was a few. You know, I'm not the only one. I weren't the only one, but I was quite a big one on House Block 3 of Elmley. And then they had enough. They had enough of me taking the piss, and they shipped me out. And I went to Wayland, and then I met Reggie Cray.
Right.
I got put on the lifers wing with Reggie, and he just come back from the funeral with his brother Charlie. So he'd been down in Parkhurst for a couple of weeks, and then he came to Wayland. I introduced myself, and I had a few things. I had a few phone cards and tobacco, and let him know if he needed anything. And he did buy some phone cards off of me. He bought £100 worth of phone cards or something like that. But then after maybe one or two times of me selling him stuff, I felt a bit bad, so I just used to give it to him. I just used to give him whatever he needed.
What was he actually like? Because lots of people have said different things.
He was old, too. He was old, and he used to shuffle, mate. He could hardly, not that he couldn't walk, but he'd shuffle, you know. His walk was a shuffle. He was 66 when I got there. He'd done my whole life. I was there, I was 32 when I was at 31, 32, and he'd done my whole life in jail. So, you know, and he was gay. He was, you know, but I ain't gonna, you know what, that shit don't bother me. As long as you don't try it with me, as long as you don't put no hands on me, I'm not gonna, what you do, as long as there's no kids involved or,
he didn't drop the soap, so you couldn't pick that up.
No, he fucking never, mate. No.
Not bad back.
No. No, never ever. But he made. I remember I was walking around the yard. My pal's son was in there, little young guy, John Birch, and we were walking around the yard, and he was like, "Reggie's going back here. He's got a lovely ass, ain't he? I mean, what do you think I'm going to say to that?
Hold on a minute. You dropping this up now, you say you got a nice ass, leave me out.
Not me, he's saying my boy's son, John, he's only his baby, you know what I mean?
Right,
but
right.
he'd done my whole life, so it's understandable.
I mean, that's a long time, isn't it?
30, end of the day, you're not getting no love, no affection, nothing in there. Yeah, I'm not trying to justify it or anything, but people look for love in different places, and it takes some kind of guy to get through that sentence. Yeah, even though you might turn into an iron.
Right.
You got to respect the guy who was before that, and the history of the family, and I'm not saying it's all good, it ain't, but I'm not going to go in there and start over people's sexuality and start making that ain't for me, mate. It's I
think in his time though, obviously. It was frowned upon. Now
definitely
it's normal. Do you know what I mean? So
in his time it was frowned upon 100%. But his brother was shirtlifter, wasn't he? His brother was, and I've heard people say that he was, even before he married Francis. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not gonna judge.
It's everyone's choice, right? If they want to be that way, that's up to them.
Exactly. As long as, like I said, as long as you're not hurting, there's no children involved, and everyone's consented. It's not my problem. You do what you want to do in private, behind closed doors.
I think what the authorities did though with the craze, and also Bronson, keeping him in jail for a long period of time is a massive deterrent, because I think people look at that and go, now the craze really did all die in jail. Bronson's still alive now, but how long has he been in now? 30 years? I mean,
unnecessary, totally unnecessary. The guy, he definitely was most probably suffering with mental health from the beginning, but didn't get diagnosed, and he's just been a casualty. He's fell through the cracks of the NHS that we've got, which is shit. It's just getting worse, I think, our NHS. But
the doctors are on strike, aren't they? Because they haven't got enough money, apparently.
Yeah, because it's all fucking going on to the hotels where we're housing these fucking illegals. Oh no, there's certain things I just don't I can't get my head around it. I can't, I just don't understand how we've come to this point.
If you look at England now, though, as a whole, we've talked about the knife crime. We've talked about obviously the discipline, the lack of opportunities, but it just seems to be like if you're here and you're working, you're punished by taxes, by this, by that. But if you don't work and you have kids and sit at home and let the state pay for everything, or you come here on a boat, you're not even meant to be here, and you go, well, I'm X, Y, Z. And there's videos on TikTok where people are being basically told, if you're in Albania, you're, from these different places, if you say this and do that, you'll get this and you'll get that. And you sort of think if you can't blame them, because if you was in a country and you had nothing and someone said, listen, mate, get on a boat, pay that, you can have that. Yeah, you probably go, fucking count me in. Do you know what I mean?
So paved with gold.
So you can't. I don't blame them, but I blame the government for letting it happen.
I don't blame them. I blame Starmer. Yeah. I blame Rishi Sunak, the weasel rat. I blame them. And I blame the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization. I think all these organizations are redundant. And they're trying to. They're slowly stripping away our human rights, and they want, I think they really do want something like civil unrest. I believe that is, we're being pushed into it with all the taxes. We're just being rumped left, right and centre in this country. If you're trying to work and make a pound, it's like you're being robbed left, right and centre by the government. And then they're bending over backwards for these illegals, but they're forgetting about our veterans, forgetting about our old age pensioners that have paid money into this country all their life, and they can't even get their heating for the winter. But these illegals that are coming here and going into the hotels and they're being given everything, PlayStations.
There was actually a thing in the paper the other day, and because it's in the paper doesn't mean it's true.
No,
but it actually
depends
said,
what rag it was.
Yeah, it said that there was something
they're
all
the same.
There was like hundreds of thousands or maybe tens of thousands, but it was a high number of people that have been given these like debit cards that have been loaded up with cash, and they've been fucking going in Betfred and fucking Paddy Pat and actually gambling the money away. And obviously you can't blame the gaming companies because they're just running the business. But they shouldn't be allowed to.
Why they get gambling? They should have food, clothes,
but
and a roof over their head.
They get all that, but instead
it's a piss take.
It made me laugh, and I thought, is this real or not? Is this to wind you up?
It's insane. Yeah. The world is so politically correct and so left, and it's way off left, mate. Well, it's like these human rights for these people that they've done nothing. They've done nothing for this country, and then you've got the people that have paid taxes all their life, paid in all their life, and retired, and they're still getting fucked, And then the government just raised the pension age to 77.
No, it's 67, but they're talking about.
Oh, I thought they were going for 70 in the 70s.
70, I think that's going to be the next thing in the next 10 years, probably.
It's a piss take. You ain't even going to have time to enjoy your retirement at that age,
So with all this woke stuff, do you sort of have a pronoun that you use, or you just Mark?
The beast.
The beast.
The beast is my pronoun. It's not Mark of the beast. It's just Mark the beast.
Right.
And no, I think all that is what a load of bollocks. You're a boy or a girl. That's it. You're born a boy or a girl. You want to change your shit. That's up to you. If you want to chop your dick off and have a minge, right, that's down to you. I'm not agreeing with it. I think it's a mental health, or maybe that you have got too many XY chromosomes or something, maybe. But I think there's too much at the moment where it's kind of, acceptable. Like, but you want to be, it's like coercion. And then sooner or later, I think these files that are in the government, they're going to try and lower the sex age so that it's, so they can get some underage, or, at least lower it to, they're not happy with 16. I mean, they're letting people vote at 16 and you can't even have a pint. You can't even go in the pub and but you can vote. It's insane. Because, why? Because they think that they're gonna stay in power. Starmer thinks this is gonna keep him in power. These young kids are gonna vote for him. When he was the man that said there was no case for Jimmy Savile to answer to. When he was in charge of Crime Prosecution Service, he said there was no case. Like,
did you see, this made me laugh the other day, did you see when he was with Trump? And Trump's going, I don't like your mayor, Sadiq Khan. And he started saying he's a bad man. And all this. And then Starmer goes, he's my friend. And you're just like, look, you can't, it doesn't matter if he's your friend or not, but
exactly.
Trump's got a point. He has got a point. That Sadiq Khan is the mayor of London. And it's like that kid who got stabbed to death in Knightsbridge, right? The next day he was out doing whatever, never even mentioned it. And you sort of think, you expect the mayor of London, the Prime Minister of England, to keep everybody safe. So, they should be saying, right, this has happened. We're not going to sweep it under the carpet. We're not going to pretend it hasn't happened. We're going to actually make this a big focal point, and we are going to stop this, and this is how we're going to stop it. But nobody, it's like, well, we can't really talk about this because we don't want, but it's that the whole way, it is mad, like you said. I think it's gone mad.
Certain things need to be spoken about, and people need to stop being such snowflakes and taking offence. It's not an offence to be a patriot. You're not far right if you love your country. What? How could I be far right because I love where I was born and raised, and I love this country, and I'm not proud of everything this country's been involved in. I'm not, but I'm still a patriot. I still love my country, and I still, I want the best for everyone in this country. But when, with taxes and with the knife crime, it's an epidemic. I believe that there should be national service for these kids. They should be offered the choice.
There's got to be discipline. There's got to be structure. There's got to be something done to stop what's going on. Because I actually was sat with some High Court judges recently, and I was actually talking to them about knife crime, and because they've got a charity that they've set up at the Old Bailey to basically help get the knives off the streets, and obviously educate the kids about what could happen if you do carry a knife. And some people were getting 20. So basically now, I don't know if you know this, but if you have a knife and you stab someone and kill them, you get 25 years minimum, right? And I was like, well, that's great, but it's like the horse is bolted and now you're shutting the door. You need to do something before that.
Yeah.
And I think what you were saying about the, getting the, some sort of discipline. I'm not sure if national service will work, but there needs to be some level of discipline, and it has to be. If I used to get fucking smacked by my parents if I was rude or fucking fucked about or broke anything. I'm sure you did, right? And it didn't do us any harm.
Them big platforms thrown at me, like curtain wire. We get the curtain wire whipped with the curtain wire.
These are the good old days. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Mark, right? Obviously we obviously talked about his stuff, but before we got into that, where did the name The Beast come from?
Do you know what? I don't know. It was my first fight. I think it was the first. So
when she was obviously training with Lee Murray, was Jeremy Bailey at that gym as well? Yeah. So there was all you boys.
Yeah, Alex Reid
in the shoot fighters.
Sol Gilbert, Mustafa Al-Turk, James Zikic, Michael Johnson. We had some great fighters at the time. There was loads of middleweights, but I think,
what was you, a cruiser?
Fighting.
Was you a cruiser?
I was light heavy. I started at heavyweight, believe it or not. It was mad. I don't know how the fuck I fought at heavyweight. But it was a lot of Burger King and beers at the time. Right. I think that's what got the weight up, because they were my first 3 fights in MMA were heavy.
Right.
But I was never a heavyweight. I even struggled with light heavy. I'd only weigh in normally about 91 kilos. I think I should have fought at middle, but there were so many. I didn't have the advice. I was like my own manager and shit. I mean, the first fight I got, I put myself forward for it. I was on computer literacy and information technology course from the unemployment. I was signing on, and they put me on this course, this Clay course. And while I was on the course, I see this advert looking for fighters for Circus Tavern it was Christmas 2002. And I see the advert and I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll put myself forward. I was asking Lee and my trainer, Alexis, to get me a fight for about a year. I've been training with Lee for about 18 months, and I was ready to fight. I thought I was, and I was like, come on, I want to get me a fight. They were stalling. So I got myself my first fight at Circus Tavern and Ryan Robinson. And it was over within a minute, my first fight. I think that was it. It was like how I came out, or, because I stuck it on him. The funny thing was, before the fight, we were in your corners, like blue corner, red corner. I didn't want to be in the blue corner, so I've changed the sticker over. So I'm in the red corner. So I'm in there playing. I've got my ghetto blast and I'm playing some drum and bass and I'm all hyped up, jumping around. And come on, red corner. We're gonna fucking destroy blue corner. And someone's going to me, who are you fighting, mate? I said, I know some guy. Ryan Robinson, who cares? I went, why, do you know him? And then someone in the back behind him has put his hand up. I said, what's your name? He's gone, no, it's me. So I'm in the chamber with my fight with the guy I'm fighting. And I'm all hyped up and I've been going mad with the drum and bass, dancing around, going, yeah. Because 2 weeks, I ain't had no sex.
Right.
I was really killed, mate. And so someone's gone, oh, mate, I think you're in the wrong corner. Like me, I just changed the name or something. So I went back into the blue corner, come out, gone into the ring now. We're in the ring because it was a ring. This was my first fight in a ring. It was MMA, but it was in a ring. We're in a cage. So, like, they've introduced me first. I came out first, and then he came out. And when he's got in, he's kind of looked over at me and given me a nod, like we were friends and that. And I thought, nah, mate, nah. You know, as soon as that bell went, I was all over him like a rash.
Right.
I was on him, and I've hit him with a couple of shots. I hit him with one shot, big right hand. He's bounced on the ropes and he's bounced back onto me, and I just threw him off. I jumped on top of him, started banging away, and I nearly got him in a choke. I've slid off. I slid off his back. I nearly got him in a choke, and then I've started just weighing him in with punches, and he tapped out. He submitted to punches. But that's where I got my name, The Beast, after that fight.
And who out of all your fights, did you ever fight Mike Bisping?
I fought Mike Bisping twice.
Who else have you fought? Mike Bisping?
Ian Freeman.
You fought?
I remember me and Lee went round to Dave Courtney's one night, and this was just before you did Rolling with the Nines, I think. And we went round to Courtney's, and I went to him. I went, I want to fight Ian Freeman. And he looked at me like, "What, you fucking mad?" I was like I just come out of jail and I'd just been training with. But Freeman was the name. Freeman was the machine, wasn't he? Yeah. He was the guy. He was the guy. He was in UFC, and I remember Lee had him down. Lee had him down for the fight when he knocked out Tito, when they had that fight at the Royal Albert Hall, the first UFC, and Ian Freeman was fighting. And he fought Frank Mir, and Frank Mir maybe a couple months later went on and won the world title, UFC world title. And Freeman f***ed him up bad. Freeman destroyed him. And Tito fought Elvis Sinisic, who I fought later on in Cage Rage. But that was the night when Lee knocked out Tito. It all started with Paul. I think Paul started. Someone jumped on, I think it was Pat Militic's back. Paul's grabbed the guy, was saying, someone said something to Paul. Paul's parked him up, bingoed him, and then it just went off because it was Tito's mate who got bingoed by Paul. And then it went off. But one thing I need to clear up right now, right, is Paul Allen has never been a cage fighter. I keep seeing this. Look, Paul can have a tear up, but he's more of a knockout guy. He was more of a knockout guy. He had that fucking one punch that was fucking, you're going to sleep. It don't matter who you are. It's in the DNA with Paul. It's that family that he's from. But I just want to clear that up. That I've never seen Paul Allen cage fight. I've never seen Paul fight. I've seen Paul fight, but I've never seen him cage fight. I've never seen him. So I just like to clear that up, because every time I see a write up on Paul, it says cage fighter, and he's not. He was never a cage fighter, and even that is a rubbish name for it. It's a mixed martial artist. That's what we are. Yeah, we're not cage fighters. It's mixed martial artists. People put years and years of graft into this to study certain disciplines of martial arts, and for them just be lumped in with a cage fighter, it's demeaning to me. It's like it's not right.
And how did you get on when you fought him Freeman?
Freeman, he was that guy, man. He just wrestled me. I hit him, dropped him.
Was you more
17 seconds.
Was you more of a
striker?
But
I love the Thai boxing. But Ian weren't a banger. He's never really been a banger. I've never seen him really knock too many people out. That was my thing. I love knocking people out. After females, it's probably one of my favourite things to do, legally, if I can, legally. Right. But I never see Freeman really knock people out. Great wrestler, very strong guy, good wrestler. Trained in America with some great guys, some great wrestlers, and his ground game was solid, But I dropped him 17 seconds into the fight. I dropped him with a left hook, and after that, that's all he wanted to do was wrestle.
Right.
Freeman was a good fighter. He was good, I respect him, but I'd have a tear up with him any time, any day of the week.
No cuddling allowed.
Yeah, exactly. I'd have a stand-up fight. Yeah, I'd have K1 all day long with Ian Freeman. If he wants to, we could do it on Misfits. How about Misfits? Me and Freeman, yeah.
That's a good one. But what happened on the fight then? Did it go to 5 rounds?
It went the distance. Yeah, it went the distance, and he won it on decision.
Right. Okay.
Because he controlled me on the ground. He did.
But like you said, he went that other geezer up. So the fact you went the
Frank
distance.
Mir, mate. He 2-3 months later, maybe 6 months later, Frank Mir became the UFC world champion, and Freeman destroyed him. Absolutely destroyed him. I know it was quite a few years later when me and him fought, but he never destroyed me like that. And he hit me. He kept me. His ground game was solid, and he kept me there, and he got the win. Yeah, but he didn't want to stand up with me because I'm too heavy-handed. Like I said, Lee brought Freeman down before the fight at Royal. Before that fight with Frank Mir, and we was training together, and we had a little boxing. We was boxing, me and Ian, and. Sneaky bastard tried pulling me into a knee. And I thought, right, that's ruse. You know what I mean? That's fucking out of order. What you do? Like, we're boxing. You're trying to pull me into a knee, you shit. Anyways, a couple months later, he's down again for something, training with Lee. And I stuck it on him. He just lost to Andrei Arlovski in the UFC. Andrei Arlovski, I think he knocked out Freeman. And he was moaning. He was in the back of the car and he was moaning about, I think I'm going to leave the UFC now. I don't really, And I was like, hold up. I turned around to him and said, hold up. Before you even think about me and you were fighting. He laughed, but I was serious, mate. Right. Even when I told Dave Courtney, Courtney was like, what the fuck? Are you mad? But it's like, you want to fight. If you're in the game, you're in the fight game, you want to fight the best.
Of course.
You don't want to just fight journeyman. No, you want to fight the best.
And what happened with the Bisping? Because you had 2 fights with him.
Yeah, the first one I was British champion and Bisping took it. It's my own fault. Man. I fucked up with that fight there. I was training really good. I was using PEDs, whatever you want to call it. It was a drug called diametrine, and it was ephedrine based, and my stamina was great. I was fucking firing on all cylinders. I was fit for Bisping for our first round, but I took one in the morning. I thought one in the morning, and then at somewhere in the, I'm like you've been training so good on one. What would you be like with 2?
Right.
The first round I won. Our first fight, the first round I won that first round. Second round, I couldn't even lift my arms up. All the lactic acid had built up so much. I couldn't even hold my hands up. So he punched me around that octagon basically, and he knackered himself out doing it because at the end of that fight he was gassed.
Right.
And that was just from punching. That was just from hitting my chin. The second fight, we had a couple of fights in between on Cage Rage, and I got back to challenge him again. And I training really good, training with a guy called Alan Ingerfield, who was a triathlete. He was a triathlete, an Ironman, and he used to train the Brownlee brothers. There were these 2 brothers, the Brownlee brothers, amazing athletes, and he used to train them. And he was training me and Lee, and I was fit as a fiddle. But the problem was, the second fight, we've gone to go through the Blackwall Tunnel, and the Blackwall Tunnel was shut. So we had to drive all the way around the M25. And it took us about 2.5 hours. By the time we got to Wembley, it was almost 9 o'clock. And that was I was the first fight on the Sky, live Sky show, Cage Race show that was being shown on Sky Sports. So as soon as I got there, I didn't even get time to warm up, didn't get time to wrap my hands, just about got time to wrap my hands. And then we was on fighting, and I know I could have given him a better fight than that. And it was a shit decision from Grant Waterman to say that I got knocked out. Because I put the YouTube video up, and you can see me slip over in the third, when he hits me right at the end of the fight, 17 seconds to go before the end of the fight. He's most probably won it on decision, but at the end of the fight, I was kicking his leg, and I had him limping round the ring. I was damaging it. He was people said, you know, one more kick would have won it for me. One more clean kick might have won it. But he's hit me with his right hand. I've slipped over. And I was knackered. I ain't going to lie. I was fucking knackered, mate. We'd been fighting for 14 minutes. And the referee just called it. You know, just called it. Just said, no, that's it. It's over. I slipped over. I didn't make a big deal about it at the time. I don't really make a big deal about it, but you can see on the video, if you watch it, you see me slip over. And even Grant Waterman said when he saw the video, he admitted he admit that he made a bad decision. That is what it is.
But the British title was the was that the cage race title?
Yeah.
So he was a British, and that was light heavyweight. So he was the British light heavyweight champion. Did you ever think about going in the UFC or?
I would never have got that title because of my drug convictions.
Right.
He went to Ultimate Fighter. I could have gone, but I wouldn't have even got in the country.
Right.
Because of my drug convictions.
Yeah. Because
they weren't never letting me in, so I didn't even go for it. I didn't even enter for it. You know, I know a lot of people that did, and you know, Ian and Ross Poynton went over there, and yeah. And I didn't get to have unfortunately, I didn't get to have the third fight. We should have had a trilogy.
So when you actually go from the beginning, so how many years did you actually do MMA for?
It wasn't that long, you know, my MMA career. It was only 5-6 years.
Right.
Because I didn't start. My first fight, I was 34. Right. You know, I looked the other day at Poirier. You know, he just had a great career in the UFC, and he's just retired, and he's 36.
Wow.
You know,
you started at 34.
I started at 34. And, you know, I had a lot of good fights, done a bit of travelling, but he was saying that I've been doing all my life, you know, so it was just learning the ground game and learning the jiu-jitsu side of it and the submission side of it, you know, and the wrestling side of it. Apart from that, I was always punching and kicking and kneeing in my fights.
Was it towards the end of your career when Lee got involved in that Securitas robbery? Was that towards the end?
Yeah, it was. Well, that was 2006. I was still fighting.
I thought they'd have been like trying to rope you into it because it was all club, wasn't it?
I thought I would have got an invite, but you know what? In hindsight, I'm glad I never. You know, as much as we all want nice things and yeah, overnight millionaire, couple hours work and that. You know, I mean, no one got hurt, but you know, people were kidnapped and guns were used, but. Really, it was a non-violent. That you have to have them kind of weapons or tools to convince the person that you know. But it's all threat at the end of the day. Whether you carry it through is another. I doubt any of them would have shot anyone. You know, not that they couldn't in another situation or any. But I don't think they would have been shooting any women and children or, you know, maybe one in the foot. Colin Dixon might have got one in the foot if he didn't open up the right door. So I don't know, but there was no real violence involved, and they executed it well. And
I mean, it was the biggest cash robbery in British history.
It's a crime of the century. It's one of the crimes of the century.
And you talk about the Great Train robbery, and it was a couple of mil. This was like 53. I mean, it's mad.
Mate, they left 100 mil. They left 100 million. If they would have had another 7-ton HGV, they would have took another 7-ton worth of money. They would have took another 53.
Can you imagine that? How gutted you'd be driving off going, "Fucking hell, we left
100." But the thing was, they left 100. They left the fucking 1.3 in a van at the end of a road with a fucking balaclava and a Scorpion submachine gun in the van. They just left it there like a bit of rubbish. 1.3. Even the 0.3 would have done me.
Right. Did you write to him and say, "Lee, you can tell me how to pick up"?
Mate, I would have been limp for Christie to that. Mate, just left it there like a bit of rubbish.
They haven't recovered all the money, have they? Nah. But someone did tell me that the British government had changed all the notes a little while after that robbery to try and sort of thwart. But I'm sure by the time that it would have been gone, and whatever's gone with it, whatever's happened to it.
Circulated into the
abyss.
Bricks and mortar. I don't know. I mean, that's where I would have put money in property. You know, I don't know what they done with it, but you know, I'm still waiting for my drink. I doubt I'll get it, but it's what it is. You know, I mean, I just think that needs to be that most probably will be made into a film, but there's a few versions as well. There's, you know, you got this person's version who was on the bit of work, and then you got this person's version who maybe handled certain things, and then you got this person's version who wasn't even part of it, but knew all the players in it, and you know, knew most of the stuff. And I mean, you kept it like you held them cards close to your chest while you was planning it. But yeah, there was a few errors there. There was a few errors that, you know, that got people locked up pretty quick. You know, with the DNA and with the like not burning out the car properly, leaving, you know, there was a Red Bull can, I think it was a Red Bull can that had fingerprints on it and some DNA where someone was drinking. It was in the back of the car. The car had only been half burnt.
Right.
Like, how you gonna just half burn the car?
Right.
And then there was loads of stuff in there, and you know, and then it led back to that Michelle Hogg and the prosthetics and the makeup artist. And then she was paid money, apparently. She was paid money, and she went into the bank with the band that goes round the notes was still on there, and it said Tunbridge. Like it, another one. The geezer's they've done the thing. He's got a lockup. One of the guys, he's got a lockup, and he's put all the money in the lockup, but he ain't paid the rent on the lockup for about 2 months, 6 months, or whatever the it is. So the guy who owns the lockup has gone to the lockup, opened up the lock, and
there's my rent money.
Well, that's what I would have done. I would have just helped. I would have phoned, mate. I just helped myself. All right, don't worry about the rent. You keep the lockup. He didn't pay the rent. The geezer's gone round there, opened the lockup, seen all the money, and you nicked. Sitting down for the next 15, 16, 17 years. I think there's one that's still away. Stuart Royal. I think he's still away, but that's on. He refused to pay proceeds of crime or something like that. They gave him. They said you either got to cough up a couple mil or you get extra 6 years. I think it was something like that. So
yeah,
he's the only one that I know that's still in prison out of all of the robbers, and apart from Lee.
Right.
You know, so. You know, they should have offered Lee that deal. They should have said to him, look, if you got any money and you want to give it up, we can take some time off of your sentence, and you know, it helps towards the early release or something. But I don't think they ever offered him that deal, or, you know, as far as I know, he's never even been interviewed by Kent Police, and they're the one that brought the prosecution. I think everything that going on with Lee is travesty. He's you know, there's human rights violations that are going on with him right now in Morocco, and it needs to be addressed by the British government, you know. Or, see, I don't know the actual facts of how it works, because now he's a Moroccan national, or is he dual citizen? I'm not sure whether. So that's why maybe they don't want to help him, because he's given up his British citizenship. I don't know. And he's now just a Moroccan in a Moroccan jail.
Right.
But he was sentenced under British law in a British court. So
yeah,
he should have access to all that justice. Like, you know, interview him, offer him a deal. If he's got money and he pays it back, you know, will it help him being released?
Right. He's got to be due out soon though, surely.
He got 25 years. The 3 years he did on remand don't even come off your sentence.
Wow.
They don't even, them 3 years is nothing. That's just you know, over here you do your 3 years on remand, that comes off your sentence. But over there, no, it's not coming off of the sentence. So whatever he got 10, and then it was appealed by the police because they thought the sentence was too light, and then he got another 15 on top.
Fucking hell.
So he's ended up with 25 years. He's done 3, and yeah.
So obviously that's all happened. You've obviously retired from doing MMA. So what does the future hold for Mark the Beast Epstein?
I think the future for me, what I'm working on at the moment is book. I'm working on a book. I want to write a book.
I mean, you've got a great story, Mark, and you've been through some crazy shit, and I think that'd be a bestseller. I really do.
I just want to try and help some kids out there that are going through the care system like I did, and thinking there's nothing for them or there's no future, because I see a lot of kids in my boarding school and in homes that had anger issues, and these anger issues was through abuse. They were abused and they were rejected, and they gave them some serious anger issues. And I think if you can find something that a way of turning all that negative energy into something positive. And I think through fighting, a lot of children, a lot of kids, adults, they can find this release, and they can also make it profitable, and it can earn them money. And I wish I'd have found MMA sooner. I wish I'd have found it in my 20s. I wouldn't have had so much time behind bars, but maybe I would have still had the problems that the drug problems, because I've seen it with people like John Jones and other athletes that they let their hair down, and there's drug use, and there's alcohol, and so maybe it would have been. Maybe
you've had to go through what you've gone through, so that you can impart your knowledge. Maybe you could become a teacher. Maybe you could actually fucking manage some young kids and actually push them through and keep them on that path. I mean, I try to. I always, I get people that message me. They want me to train them. They want I try and steer people in the right direction, and some people I'm more hands-on. I have been hands-on with quite a few people. I've had a good friend. I was in prison with him, and this guy was a natural athlete, rugby player. Gerald, his name was. Right.
I got him playing for London Broncos, and he would. The thing with Gerald, he'd go out on a Friday night and he'd fucking get on it.
Right.
And he'd come to the game, half cut, come to the game, and he'd have a good game.
Right.
He'd score a few tries, and and I'd say to him, mate, if you just didn't go out on a Friday night and just saved it for the. But it's like he was missing. He had to be there. He couldn't. He didn't want to miss the party. And the drugs was a big part of it. That cocaine use, and he's still now. This is maybe 15, 20 years later. I had him playing London Broncos. He was playing professional rugby, and I don't know. He just couldn't apply himself. But there's other people. My friend who I mentioned earlier, Pat, who was in Broadmoor. I got him out, and he did a load of talk. He wants to do MMA, and he was fucking strong, unbelievable strong. But didn't have the brain. He couldn't have the discipline. He couldn't focus. He's schizophrenic paranoia as well. He's classified, so maybe. The other one was telling him no. One was telling him, you can do it. The other one, no, you can't. Yeah, you can. No, I don't know, but it's a shame. But I've tried to help. I want to help people. I always try and help people.
I think you'd be amazing at, Mark. And that book I definitely want to read. And then I'm sure the book's going to end up leading on to a movie, right?
I think the book, the film will. I've got an idea for a film now, and it's a brilliant film. It's based on. People that I've met in my life and people that I've worked for, but I've changed names and I've changed locations and I've changed certain things. So
we've got to have a talk about that.
Yeah, and that is a brilliant film, because that's given me what that has done for me is give me license to certain things. It's based on reality, but I can change things, and then my actual story is crazy as well.
You've only teased us with bits of it, but it's been really good, Mark. So I really appreciate you coming on today and
mate, it's been a pleasure.
Up,
been a pleasure, Tel. Been a pleasure. It was, we touched on a few good things. The only thing we didn't touch on was film.
Right.
It was film. I would have liked to have, maybe we'd do that for part 2. Maybe there's a part 2.
Yeah, there's definitely a part. We've only
film,
just touched the surface.
I definitely wanted to talk to you about like some of the films I've seen you in, Rising the Foot, so Rolling with the Nines. I think for me personally,
right.
I thought that was my favourite performance.
Thank you.
I thought you smashed that. That film I loved it.
A lot of people did like and it was funny because we was in the premiere, me and my wife. You was there, weren't you?
No,
sure.
I was at your book.
Oh yeah, the book, yeah.
Not
and so many people were coming up going, "That's what the police are like." The police are like. So
mate, that was you were brilliant in that one, mate.
Oh,
I mean, the Foot Soldier and that franchise, I love it, but for me, it lost its appeal to me after maybe the 3rd or 4th.
Right.
And then you got the Bonded by Blood, and then you got the Essex Boy. There's just been so much.
There's been so many.
There has.
It's like there's been 20 Crave films, 20 Essex films.
I mean, that story with Tucker and Tate and Rolf and that was, it's crazy, and it was, but there's, we've moved on. We've moved on, and there's some new stuff that we got to definitely. I'd love to work with you, Tel. Give me any opportunity.
Mark, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
No problem.
Listen,
man.
I'm looking forward to part 2 already. I know that it was a draw on the arm wrestle earlier.
No, you won, Tel.
I'm going to do some exercise.
You won it.
Then I'll just say, see this arm, this beat the beast. But thank you so much, Mark. It's been a pleasure having you on, brother. Thank you so much for tuning into the Criminal Connection podcast. Mark the Beast Epstein. What an amazing guest. A British MMA champion in the building, sharing some secrets and some fun that he's had over the years. If you're not subscribing, press that button and subscribe. It costs you $0 and it helps us get legends like Mark Epstein on the show. And make sure you tune in next week. We've got another amazing guest and we'll see you on the other side.